You deploy a new version to production, and when traffic starts hitting, errors spiked and pods are failing. You just pushed a bad release. Now what? Do you rebuild the image? Do you panic? Or do you redeploy manually? Or you can simply roll back in seconds. Hi, I'm Shivam, and this is the last video of the series Kubernetes Production Survival Guide. Today, I'm going to break the cluster on purpose and then recover it instantly. Because in production, recovery is everything. Bad deployments are very common in production. It can either be a wrong image, wrong config, or even a bug. The real question is how fast you can recover. Let's simulate this properly on my cluster. So this is my cluster. I have one control plane node and two worker nodes. Let me go ahead and create a deployment for this demo. As you can see, the kind is deployment. The name of the deployment is rollback demo. It has 3 replicas. It is running an Nginx 1.25 image. It is running on container port 80. So this is the line which we will see on the output terminal. Currently, I have version 1 configured here. So let's go ahead and apply this deployment. So our deployment is created. Let me annotate this deployment. I'm using kubectl annotate command to annotate this deployment with the change cause as version 1. Think of it as a message which you put on your IntelliJ or any other editor before pushing your code to GitHub. So my deployment has been annotated. Let's create a service and we'll do a port forward so that we can access our application via another terminal. By now, you might be familiar with these commands. I'm using this imperative command to create a service for my deployment, and then I'm using port forward command so that we can access our application via another terminal. So it says service has been created and port forwarding is done. Let's try to do a curl on another git bash tab. We can see version 1 here. So till now, our application is running fine. Now let me go ahead and update the deployment for version 2. So here I am just updating this argument from version 1 to version 2. I'm going to save it. I'm going to reapply it. So my deployment has been configured. Again, I'm going to run an annotate command to log my changes. So annotation has been done this time. The change cause was version 2. So now if I do port forward, I should see version 2 on the another terminal. As you can see here, I can see version 2. Now let's check the history of our deployment. So you can use kubectl rollout history and the name of the deployment to check the history of your deployment. So as of now, you can see I have 2 revisions of my deployment. First, the change cause was version 1, then the change cause is version 2. Similarly, I'm gonna update my deployment once again to version 3. Again, I am just updating the version here and I'm gonna reapply this deployment. So it says my deployment has been configured. Let's do a port forward and hopefully we'll be able to see version 3 as our output. And we can clearly see our output is version 3. If you can see, I have 3 revisions for my deployment. The first revision is version 1, the second revision is version 2, and the third revision is version 3. Till now, everything is working fine and everything is looking stable. Now let's try to break our deployment intentionally. I'm going to once again modify our deployment. This time, I'm going to update it to version 4 and I'm going to update the Nginx image to a does not exist version. I'm going to save this and I'm going to apply my deployment. So it says my deployment has been configured. Again, I'm going to run an annotate deployment command, and the annotation is done. As we can see, we have 4 versions of our application here. Let's go ahead and we'll try to simulate a real traffic for our application of this command. As I have already explained this in my previous video, I'm running a while loop to curl the output of our application, but in case our application is down, it will print failed production is down message after every 1 second. So let's go ahead and we'll check our application. You see here it is giving us an error saying production is down. This is a production pane. Now in order to fix this quickly, we will have to roll back our deployment to version 3, which was a working version. In order to do so, we will use a rollout undo command and we'll use a specific version to roll back our deployment. So as you can see, I'm using a rollout undo command for our deployment rollback demo, and I'm specifically rolling back my deployment to revision 3. As you can see here, we have revision 1, 2, 3, 4, and we all know that version 3 was working fine. So here I am reverting my deployment to revision 3. It says my deployment has been rolled back. So let's go ahead and we'll do a port forward, and hopefully we'll be able to see our application up and running on the second terminal. So I'm using port forward command here. It says forwarding to this. And you see here, earlier we were getting production is down error, but the moment we roll back, we can clearly see that version 3 is getting populated. So this proves that our application was rolled back successfully. So this is a huge relief in production. So we didn't redeploy manually, we didn't edit YAML, we just told Kubernetes to go back to version 3. So here is an important tip. If you want meaningful history, always annotate your deployment with change cause. Let me show you the command once again. So this is the annotate command with change cause. If you don't do this, your history will just show numbers, and that will be confusing when you are under pressure to roll back the image and you have very limited time to get your production up and running again. So in production, bad releases often happen. You don't always have time to debug calmly. Rollback is your safety net, and the faster you recover, the smaller the incident. We have now completed our Kubernetes Production Survival Guide series. You have seen how things break, how to recover them, and now you know deployments are not scary, because Kubernetes doesn't just deploy, it remembers. But here is something most people don't realize. Even if your deployment is safe, your data might not be. In the next series, we are stepping into something serious. I'm calling it Data and Reality Check, because Kubernetes feels powerful until you realize where your data actually lives. What happens when a pod restarts? Where does your data go? And why are databases harder than they look? I'm going to break that illusion in my next series. I hope this series was meaningful for you. I will see you in the next one. Till then, keep learning.